I am leaving you, Adrian, and this time I am not coming back. Cheating at its peak, being apart, being separated, getting caught, red flags, guys. Your host, Alistair. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We bring you the best cheating stories from around the world. Let's go ahead and listen to this one because this is going to be a banger.
I'm leaving you, Adrian, and this time I'm not coming back. The words did not shake, they did not tremble. They landed on the table between the candles like a knife. Kamel sat across from her husband in a silk dress the color of dark wine. Her lips were calm, but her eyes were restless. The soft music in the background felt cruel, almost mocking the silence that followed. Adrian did not flinch. He lifted his glass slowly and took a small sip of water. That's a serious decision, he said gently. No anger, no shouting, just steady eyes. Kamal expected a storm. Instead, she got still water. It's already decided, she replied. And before you ask, yes, there is someone else, someone better. The corner of Adrian's mouth twitched slightly. Not a smile, not pain, something unreadable. Better? He repeated calmly. That's a strong word. Kamal leaned forward. He listens to me, respects my ambition. He doesn't make me feel small. Adrian placed his napkin neatly beside his plate. I've never tried to make you small. You didn't have to try, she said sharply. You just stood there, quiet, safe, predictable. The candlelight danced across his face. He looked at her the same way he had years ago, as if she was the only woman in the room, and for a second, just a second, Kamal's breath caught, because once that same look had melted her. Once his quiet strength had felt like protection, not boredom. Years ago, on a rainy evening, they had stood on the balcony of their first apartment. No money, no furniture, just dreams and each other. She had laughed when the rain soaked her dress. He had pulled her close, his hands warm on her waist. You'll catch a cold, he had whispered. Then warm me, she had teased. He had kissed her slowly, softly, like he had all the time in the world. Back then, silence between them felt intimate. Now it felt dangerous. Kamal shook the memory away. You don't fight for me anymore, she said. Adrian tilted his head slightly. Is that what you want? A fight? I want possession. Passion, she snapped. I want to feel chosen. His eyes softened. I chose you every day. Her throat tightened. But pride is a powerful shield. Well, someone else chooses me every day and chooses me louder. Adrian let out a quiet breath. Is he waiting outside? He asked. The question made her pause. No, she replied quickly, but he's waiting. For what? For me to finally walk away from something that's been over for a long time. Adrian looked at the anniversary cake sitting untouched at the center of the table. 10 years of marriage, 10 candles. I see, he said softly. Kamal studied him carefully now. Why wasn't he breaking? Why wasn't he begging? She stood up slowly. I'll pack tonight. I can stay at. The doorbell rang. Just rang before she finished. Both of them froze. Kamal frowned. Are you expecting someone? Adrian stood up smoothly. Actually, yes. Her stomach tightened. He walked toward the door with the calm steps. Too calm. Way too calm for Kamal's understanding. Kamal followed halfway, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. When the door opened, the hallway light spilled into the room, and standing there was Victor, Kamal's business partner, the man who had been working closely with her for the last 8 months, the man who had praised her ideas, supported her decisions, and slowly whispered that she deserved more. Her face went pale. Victor? She breathed. What are you doing here? Victor looked uncomfortable, not confident, not charming. He looked and caught. Adrian stepped aside politely. Please come in. Victor entered. Slowly, his eyes avoided Kamal's. I thought, Kamal stammered. We agreed to meet tomorrow. We did, Victor said quietly. Adrian closed the door behind him. I asked him to come tonight instead, Adrian said. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Kamal's heart started to pound. You what? Adrian walked back toward the dining table and picked up a thin leather folder. Before you leave, he said calmly, I thought it would be fair to have a small conversation. All of us. Victor shifted his weight nervously. Kamal's voice sharpened. Adrian, this is not your business. He looked at her, steady and composed. You're my wife. Your business became my business the moment our names were signed together. Her pulse raced. There was something different about him tonight, not angry, not desperate, but prepared. Adrian opened the folder but did not reveal what was inside. Please, he said gently, gesturing to the chairs. Sit. Kamal did not move. For the first time since she had spoken the words, I'm leaving, she felt uncertain. Adrian met her eyes one more time. I've been quiet, he said softly, but quiet does not mean blind. The candle flames flickered between them. And suddenly the dinner was no longer about leaving. It was about truth. And Kamal realized, with the cold wave of fear rising in her chest, she might not be the only one who had been planning an exit. Kamal slowly sat down, not because Adrian told her to, but because her legs no longer felt steady. Victor remained standing near the entrance, like a guest who had walked into the wrong house. Adrian's voice was calm. Close the door properly, Victor. He didn't want the neighbors to hear what should stay private. Victor swallowed and shut it. The soft click sounded louder than it should have. Kamal's eyes darted between them. Adrian, whatever this is, stop. Just stop. This is childish. This is naive. Adrian gave a faint smile. No. What's childish is thinking secrets stay hidden forever. He opened the leather folder. Inside were printed emails, bank statements, copies of contracts. Victor's face lost color. Kamal forced a laugh. You went through my work files? That's illegal. No, Adrian replied evenly, but moving shared funds from our joint investment account into a side company without informing your spouse, that is interesting. Her breath caught. Victor stepped forward quickly. Adrian, this is not what it looks like. Adrian looked at him. It looks like missing money. Kamal stood abruptly. It was a temporary transfer for a short-term opportunity. Without telling me? Adrian asked gently. It's my company, she said, but our savings, he corrected. The room grew heavy. Adrian picked up another page. And then there are these. He placed printed messages on the table. Kamal saw her own words. You understand me better than he ever could. Sometimes I wonder what life would have been like if we had met first. Her cheeks burned. It was just emotional support, she said quickly. You were distant. Victor listened. Adrian's eyes softened, but not in weakness. In our bedroom, he said quietly, you used to say I was the only man who could read your silence. Kamal felt that it hit deeper than any accusation. Victor cleared his throat. Kamal and I never crossed a physical line. Adrian's jaw tightened slightly. That's good, he replied, because emotional betrayal always crosses enough lines. The words were simple, but they cut. Kamel tried to regain control. So what? You hired a detective? You have been spying on me? Adrian shook his head. No, I just started paying attention. He leaned back in his chair. Victor, he said calmly, would you like to explain the second company registered under your cousin's name? Victor froze. Kamal turned slowly toward him. What second company? There was silence. Deep silence. Adrian slid one more paper across the table. the company name, the registration date, 3 weeks ago. Victor's hands trembled slightly. It was a backup plan. A backup plan? Kamal repeated. For us, Victor said quickly. For when you left him. The word us hung in the air like anything. Kamal stared at him. For us, she whispered. Victor avoided eyes now. Adrian watched quietly. Strategic timing. He had chosen his moment carefully, and Kamal could feel the ground shifting beneath her. Kamal slowly sat back down. Her confidence was gone. What is he talking about? She asked Victor. Victor ran a hand through his hair. Kamal, listen. Investors were unsure about your leadership while you were still legally tied to Adrian's assets. They wanted separation, so you created another company, she demanded. For protection, he insisted. Protection from what? Victor hesitated. Adrian answered calmly. From her. Kamal's head snapped toward her husband. Adrian continued. The investors were worried about financial mismanagement. That's a lie, Kamal said. Adrian slid another paper across the table. An email from Victor to an investor. She's emotional. Once she leaves her husband, she'll be easier to guide. Kamal felt her stomach drop. She looked at Victor. You didn't deny it. You said I was strong, she whispered. You are, Victor said quickly. But strong people still need direction. Adrian gave a low, harmless, and humorless laugh. Translation control. Kamal's hands trembled. You told me I deserved better, she said to Victor. You do, he insisted, but better doesn't mean owned, Adrian said softly. The room fell silent. Kamal's mind raced through memories. Victor praising her ideas. Victor saying Adrian didn't understand ambition. Victor slowly creating distance between husband and wife. And Adrian cooking dinner on nights she worked late. Adrian kissing her forehead when she fell asleep over spreadsheets. Adrian saying, You don't have to prove yourself to me. She had once loved that about him. She had once found comfort in his quiet support. When had that become boring? When had stability started to feel like chains? Victor tried one last time. Kamal, don't let him manipulate you. Adrian looked at her gently. I'm not here to win you back tonight, he said. I'm here to make sure you walk away with open eyes. Her throat tightened. Why didn't you confront me earlier? She asked. Adrian's answer was honest. Because I hoped you would come to me before someone else convinced you. That I was the enemy. And I never was the enemy. The words broke something inside her. Victor stepped back toward the door. This is getting personal, he muttered. It was always personal. Adrian replied calmly. You just treated it like business. Kamal stood slowly. Did you ever? She began, her voice shaking. Did you ever actually care about me? Victor hesitated too long. That was her answer. I care about the company, he finally said, and you're valuable. Valuable, not loved, not cherished, just valuable. The word echoed painfully. Adrian rose from his chair. Leave, he said to Victor. Victor didn't argue this time. He walked out quietly. The door closed again. Now it was just them. 10 candles still burning on the cake. 10 years of marriage. Kamal's tears finally fell. I didn't sleep with him, she whispered. Adrian nodded. I know. You knew? I've known for weeks. Why didn't you fight harder? His answer was steady. Love isn't a competition. That broke her more than anger would have. She stepped closer to him. I felt invisible, she admitted. I felt like you stopped wanting me. Adrian's voice dropped low. I've never stopped wanting you. He moved closer. Do you remember the night before your first big presentation? He asked. She nodded faintly. You were shaking. You thought you would fail. I held you all night. Her lips trembled. You said my hands made you feel safe. They still do, she whispered. He brushed a tear from her cheek. But safety only matters, he said softly. If the person wants to stay. The room felt fragile, like glass about to crack. Kamal looked at him, truly looked at him. Not the quiet husband, not the predictable man, but the man who had watched, waited, and chosen dignity over drama. I thought passion meant noise, she said softly. Adrian gave a faint smile. Sometimes passion is quiet. It stays, it builds. She stepped into his arms slowly. He did not pull her in immediately. He waited. That was the difference. I was wrong, she whispered against his chest. I let someone else tell me what love should look like. Adrian finally wrapped his arms around her. The embrace was not desperate, it was steady and real. I won't beg, he said gently. If you want to leave, I'll let you go with respect. But if you stay, we rebuild honesty. No secrets, no silent distances. She looked up at him. I don't want louder, she said. I want deeper. He kissed her slowly. Not to claim, not to prove, but to reconnect. The candles flickered lower. The anniversary cake remained untouched, but something else had been saved. Kamal rested her forehead against his. I thought someone better was waiting for me, she said softly. Adrian's voice was calm, but strong. You already had better. You just forgot to look. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in months, she felt chosen, not loudly, but fully, because sometimes the strongest love doesn't shout, it stands still and waits for the truth to arrive.